It's time for the Court Report, our bi-weekly segment with the Upper Midwest Law Center. They are a nonprofit public interest law firm on the front lines, dedicated to defending constitutional freedoms and the rule of law.
It is absolutely our pleasure to have Doug Seaton in, president of the Upper Midwest Law Center. I'm going to put him on the spot. I don't mean to do it, but how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing very well, Al. Thank you for having us again.
Oh, no. You're one of the only lawyers I get on the program that isn't actually a senator or a House of Representative guy, so I can't ask him the question. So I want to put some squeeze on you. If I get in a spot you're not comfortable, it's just let me know. But maybe this is the next great lawsuit for the Upper Midwest Law. And maybe it fits. Maybe this is part of the test. If you think you've got one, let them know and we'll look into it. The news story, of course, Governor Walz comes out, he's ripping all Republicans and darn Donald Trump, and that's a politician doing politician stuff. We got 3 representatives in Washington today, and they're going to blame it all on it. I get the political side of this stuff. All this is going to go on. The story that gets lost in this today, sir, I want to talk to you about, and that is the Office of Legislative Auditor did their report yesterday. And again, for the most part, that would be pretty boring stuff if you didn't know what was going on in Minnesota these days. And what this woman threw out, to me, has got my blood just off the top. I want to be the name of the lawsuit against this. So let me throw a couple of things out. One of them, one thing they found was a DHS grant manager authorized $672,000 for 1 month of work for an agency. Didn't say what they did in that month, but wrote the check. A few days later, that person quit DHS and started as a consultant for that company. How is that not illegal from one side to the next, sir?
Well, I didn't see the report. I can tell you, Al, that the Upper Midwest Law Center knows the legislative auditor. Many decades ago, I used to work next door to them in the nonpartisan House Research Office. So I know those people. They're very good. If they've got their nose on something, it's legit, and they're going to find the answers. That sounds very suspicious to me. I don't know the law that applies, but I do know there are plenty of restrictions on people doing quid pro quo government actions. And I think they've got something there. It doesn't sound right, and unfortunately, it's not much of a surprise to people like you and I who see what has been going on at DHS and many other departments as well. It's like open season for corruption in many of those agencies. It's very, very frightening what we're seeing.
Well, in frightening, you want to know, you want to believe the best in everybody. And I'm not saying everybody at Department of Human Services is crooked. But there's somebody, and I'm going to call the guy Bob, somebody sitting next to Bob, and there's somebody, Bob's manager, saw him approve a $672,000 payment for a 1 month of something. And when you look at Bob and say, Bob, a little more clarification be nice, but they don't. And when Bob quits and goes to that company, why does an OLA have to find this out? Isn't this something you would report? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, you would think that would be something that couldn't happen. There would be checks and balances on this. It couldn't happen, but unfortunately it has. And we've seen with the fraud centered on the Somali nationals and their daycare and autism and other operations that there is a real leaky system here. And sometimes you have to wonder, wow, what is going on? Are people in collusion in preparing this, putting this together? Is this part of the political machine? This
is why you're such a good lawyer. A leaky system? Let me throw this out. The other thing this woman found was that when they asked for reports and start digging in, she found out that many, and it wasn't just one, folks in the DHS were creating documents and backdating them.
Wow.
And she said this really affects our ability to do our work. And she said this, sir, and this is where I cannot believe it. It is not necessarily a violation of state law. It just undermines what we can do. Doug, Mr. Seaton, I have to do my taxes this month, right?
Yes.
I screw anything up on it, and the state of Minnesota will come after me like nobody's business, right? If I did, Al, you owed us 50 more bucks than you gave us. Yet, people that work for me can literally make documents and backdate them and make them up after the auditor comes out, and this isn't against the law? Is that even possible?
It doesn't sound possible to me. Now, they're being scrupulous looking at specific statutes, but I think there are some restrictions on this kind of behavior that I think can be triggered. And we've got whistleblowers hopefully coming forward in a lot of areas here now that they've got some cover and aren't being retaliated against, we hope. I think this will be addressed. I think we will see some legal action taken against these kinds of things. And it's all over. It's all over. I've seen it for 15 years. I've seen some of these mail drop supposed NGOs in buildings that don't have any traffic. We've seen this happening for a long time. People will have pay no attention to the reports. I've seen forgeries happen and they get no attention. Now I think we're going to get some attention, both because the feds are on it and because some people finally internally in Minnesota are saying enough is enough. This can't go on. We're nice people here, but we're not idiots.
But, Mr. Seaton, how is there not a law? How long has Minnesota been around? 1850, whatever in the world is, right?
58, right?
Okay, so we've been around this long, and we don't have a law that says people that work for us can't make up documents? There's no law for that?
I think there is. I
Okay,
think there is.
so-
I think they're just being scrupulous and trying to give them the benefit of the doubt here for a minute. But
So and tell me, and you might just say, Al, don't do this live in the air. What is it that says, I come to the Upper Midwest Law Center, I believe gross negligence is happening under the watch of this government, that they are literally not taking care of the money they're taking from me. Is that a lawsuit? And who would I sue? The entire state of Minnesota? And is you against Ellison to see if I get a chunk of my money back?
well, as you can imagine, Al, we have the regular fight all the time from Walls and Ellison.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that, oh, no, you can't do that. Taxpayers don't have standing. You can't bring this claim. That's the first fight we have in every single lawsuit when the government's involved. But we do think they're responsible in many of these instances. And there's a kind of KTOM legislation. There's various kinds of legal theories that say if the state's being defrauded and taxpayers are on the hook for that, then somebody's got a right to go forward and fight that fight. And we're certainly looking into it. We hope we can get a handle in civil lawsuits on the fraud that's taking place. And, we know taxpayers are being robbed blind. They're saying $9 billion minimum is being stolen in just the one set of problems with daycare and autism. It's going to be even worse than that by the end of the day, I think. And something's got to be done to get it all back.
No, you want a lawsuit, you put it down as the Al Travis lawsuit, because here's another one. Behavioral health staff could not demonstrate out of the 27 to 67 monitoring visits they're supposed to do. They couldn't even verify they did them. Majority of their visits were conducted remotely.
Yes.
This is the child daycare weird. When we called them up, they said they were full of kids. Is that how you're taking care of my money? This It seems absolute negligence. If a doctor cut off the wrong arm, right? If the doctor cut off the wrong arm, you'd sue him and he goes, yeah, I messed up, my insurance would cover it. But if I let you just take Al's money, somehow you're shielded by government?
I don't think it can be. I think it's got to be. If there isn't a law, there soon will be. Let's put it that way. And we will see the end of this behavior. We can't have a state government functioning like this. And maybe it's an indication of what happens if you have one party rule. And I'm sure it would apply to Republicans too, if that was the case. But we know we've had strict Democratic rule for so long. People get lazy, they get corrupt, and that's what seems to be happening.
Sure does. All right. One last thing before we go to break. And again, it's not down your bailiwick, but what's going on in Venezuela, sir? One side says that we're getting our oil back that they owe us from the world court or whatever. The other one says he has got indictments so we can go get him. Then the other side said it's human kidnapping. And I mean, what is it? Is it legal to go do what we did?
Well, I think it is. Obviously, there's a lot of controversy about it, but we have a series of precedents relating to Noriega in Panama and to some degree Honduras too, where this sort of thing has happened. And courts regularly have said, if somebody shows up in this courtroom, we've got jurisdiction. And we're not inquiring how they got here. There are some evidentiary issues about how evidence has been obtained. But that doesn't apply here. I think they got plenty of evidence against Mr.
Noriega,
Mr. Maduro in this case. But yes, we will. I think it will be determined to be lawful ultimately. It may take the usual set of appeals to get that clarified, but I think it will turn out to be a lawful operation, and there will be quite an interesting trial going on. Yes.
Can I ask you on a general sense, maybe Minnesota you'd know better than federal, do they just have to take a public defender? I can't think that Maduro was picked up with enough cash in his pocket to hire a lawyer. Can he use the money down there? If one of these Feeding Our Futures folks gets picked up and they're up for $1 million and they're going to trial, can they use the $1 million they quote unquote might have stole from me to pay for a great lawyer? Or how does that work? Can you use ill-gotten gains?
There is sometimes, there's often going to be a requirement that they be able to trace that money to lawful sources. So now they can get, of course, an assigned lawyer in any event. Yeah. So it's not that they will be defenseless, but sometimes paying for a lawyer yourself out of the ill-gotten proceeds is not lawful. And we certainly hope that would be true in this case as well. Yeah. That's what
Well, the Maduro thing, and they're talking about he's got some of the best lawyers now that New York has to offer. And I'm like, you're sitting in jail. Most of your money, I presume, is ill-gotten gain, but I don't know that. Okay. Thank you for answering that question. When we come back, can we talk about what's going on at your place? And I know I've wasted a lot of your time today, but I appreciate you, Doug. I really do. It's Doug Seaton. He's with the Upper Midwest Law Center. More right after this.
Are you tired of government overreach and the constant threat to your constitutional rights? The Upper Midwest Law Center is your legal sword and shield. We're a nonprofit law firm fighting every day to defend free speech, religious liberty, and the rule of law. We secure landmark victories that restore school neutrality, protect property rights, and hold government accountable. Our mission is to ensure liberty endures for all Minnesotans. So if you or your business is facing a constitutional violation, we want to hear from you. Learn more and support our work at umlc.org. As in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
And we've got him, Doug Seaton, president of the Upper Midwest Law Center, talking about, well, everything today. Sorry about that, sir. Just a lot in my head. Here's what I want to ask you about because of the first of the year. You went after for the Upper Midwest Gun Owners Caucus. Is that correct?
Yes, Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. Yes.
Minnesota's Gun Owners Caucus. You went after the state with the omnibus bill They put in there a binary trigger thing. It was in with 100 other things. It was 1,400 pages long. And you guys won that lawsuit, right? I mean,
that is correct. We did.
So the trigger thing comes out. That Minnesota gun owners are loving you, Doug. But all the rest of it seems to have stayed in place so far. And then the first of the year comes, and a lot of those laws are now laws of the state.
Yes.
Does that mean too little, too late? Sorry, you lose? Or can you go back and unravel that now? Will a judge say, what do you want me to do? Go back and change you know what I'm saying? Can you go backwards now with another lawsuit?
I think we can. I think
Really?
we can. And we are investigating that. You know, at the outset, we tried to have multiple plaintiffs in position. We couldn't get people to step up. But now that we've won for the Gun Owners Caucus, we're very hopeful that others will say, we want in. We want to fight the same statute. We want it all taken down. And the judge himself said that if he had had those other plaintiffs in front of him, he would have struck down the entire thing. But he didn't have that authority with only one plaintiff before him, the Gun Owners Caucus. So now we have others wanting to do it, and we're hoping we can help them. If they don't fit our mission, we'll help their lawyers to bring it off if they can afford their own fight. But we'll represent people who can't be represented by other lawyers. And we hope if we have 6 or 7 cases going on that the appeals courts, and they can do this irregardless, but this will help them think the whole thing should be struck down. Because Judge Castro said my appellate courts, the Minnesota Court of Appeals, the Supreme Court, they should strike it all down. They've warned them before. I had the case 25 years ago with Jesse Ventura in which they warned them. And that was only 300 pages, that bill. Now we're up to 1,400, Al. It should be done.
Do you guys have somewhere, is there a list of all the potential things in there? The Gun Owners Caucus obviously knew their trigger ban. We talked about the binary trigger thing. I knew that was in there. But I don't know, is it 80 different laws in there? Is there 50 of them? Is there a list so someone would say, hey, that affects me. I didn't even know it.
Believe it or not, the title itself is almost 250 pages long. So you're right. Everything is in this bill. It is a garbage bill. That's why they call them garbage bills. That's why.
Oh, man. So is there a way to get that list? Again, if I maybe there's something about snowmobilers, I don't know, and I'm a snowmobile guy and I don't like it.
Yes, there is a list, and I can if people get in touch with me, I can put them in touch with our lawyers who are looking at this right now, talking to the people who've already said they want to explore bringing a lawsuit, and we can show them the list of things that are involved. And our belief is that if they're harmed by anything, it doesn't have to itself be unlawful. That was true of the binary trigger, we think, under the Second Amendment. But even if it's something that isn't unlawful in and of itself, the fact that this bill was passed the way it was makes the whole thing unlawful. And that's why we say step right up and fight this thing. Don't let the legislature do this again. And let's give them a real lesson this time so it doesn't happen anymore. No more log rolling in Minnesota. We want bills that really are clear, that people know what they're voting for. They know what their representatives are voting for. So we can be a real democratic republic. That's what we're supposed to be, I believe.
See, and I think that's what, if anything, Upper Minnesota Law Center could do is change the entire way that Minnesota does its business, is to win this and get this torn down completely so they go back to one thing and one bill. Hopefully that list comes out. Hopefully people can take a look at it. If you feel you're hurt, and let's just say it's not even about this bill, in any way, you do stuff with doctors who don't want to do prescriptions in their force, you do all kinds of stuff. How does someone know if I get to work with Upper Midwest Law Center? How do I do that?
We do our best to respond to everybody. So somebody sends us, usually it's easiest if we get an email through our website portal, Upper Midwest Law Center, you put it in the browser, you'll find us. And then you tell us what the issue is, who's involved, who's willing to be a plaintiff. That's a critical piece of this, because some people want us to do something, but they don't want to be in public.
Named.
And you know how that goes. And we understand why, because you get retaliated against.
Sure.
So, but if they're willing, we will look at it and we'll tell them what they can do. If it is a lawsuit, we can do, or if there's something else they can do. We do our best to respond to every one of them.
All right.
Thank you.
So that's the best place to start. UMLC.org. That's their website. There's a donate button as well. I mean, we could throw this out here. You guys don't charge. This is literally you raise money. So if you want to help these guys change Minnesota for the better, There's also a big donate button. You're not opposed to that first of the year?
No,
right?
we are certainly not opposed, but it is not necessary for plaintiffs to pay.
Yeah.
Our donors support us. We're glad to have them, and they are willing to help people make their way and fight in the courts to get precedent set that will advantage everybody. We're not a private law firm in that sense, but we will do things if they have a benefit for everybody, precedents that will cover every citizen. That's what we look for.
I love that, sir, and I appreciate you. Sorry if I got a little off track this week, but there's so much going on. It's got me just buzzing.
Of things happening. Oh, my.
I appreciate you, sir. Doug Seaton, president of the Upper Midwest Law Center on the Al Travis Show.
That's the Court Report with the Upper Midwest Law Center, with some insights into their mission to defend liberty and the rule of law. For more information on the cases and issues we discussed today, and to learn how you can support their fight, visit umlc.org. We'll see you in 2 weeks for the next Court Report.